We're part of the tribe that believes in the same kind of thing. We love relationship, we love women, and we also want to be strong in ourselves and lead our own selves in the world.
I'm gonna tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burned hot. I'm gonna tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares.
The daily is really nice. And even if I can't make it every day, I have my calendar now blocked off every day for this hour. And sometimes, duty calls and you got to go do another meeting. But unlike a lot of the other groups or forums or roundtables that I pay attention to, you get monthly or bi-monthly therapy, right? That's really what this is an opportunity to work on yourself and share struggles and get some feedback and get some tools to use. And so the daily's been very, very helpful for me. And that's why I've gravitated towards this. There's two reasons. One, the daily snippet for an hour is great, and having the feminine perspective is mind blowing. So I think, the two elements of that make this probably my primary source of help right now.
The variety is nice to hear different. I mean, I like the humor. I like the, obviously the female side of it, hot seat, even the videos. I love the humor. So, I mean, for me, it's nothing that I love it all.
We're part of the tribe that believes in the same kind of thing. We love relationship, we love women, and we also want to be strong in ourselves and lead our own selves in the world. We're not like Red Pill that's just trying to basically control women. We're not like MGTOW that's just doesn't want anything to do with women. We're not like that at all. And we're not just focused on the masculine. There's a lot of channels out there, guys, that are just focused on the masculine, which I understand. But Cynthia and I love the third entity, the relationship. And we love understanding, because there's masculine and feminine within all of us. It's just a label. It's like we want to be forceful and directed in the world and confident. And we also want to be connected and understood and seen.
Going through the divorce, most of the places I've found, like Reddit or any other groups, it's usually just bashing men or bashing women. And this is a really unique place here. So that's why I really can learned so much from here, and from hearing everybody else. It helped me a ton.
Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate that. Cynthia, thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate it.
Okay. That helps when you put the cord into the back of the microphone.
Is the power on? Yeah.
We didn't want to try and fix your problem. We just wanted we just wanted to understand it.
Yes, that's great.
Can you tell me more about that?
Sometimes I just don't feel heard.
Yeah, exactly.
I look at all the blokes, and you're all so familiar, Ian and Andy and Jason. It's almost like a club you sort of join every morning style of thing, and everything's positive. Like people are going through shit, and they're actually trying to understand relationships. And what I've got out of this is a better understanding of that. My wife's, I haven't seen my wife for 6 weeks, I suppose. I think she's going to see a difference in me when she comes in, and I'm just going to tell me more about that. I'm just going to be, instead of fixing and being angry, I'm just going to tell me more about that, and watch for the reaction.
Welcome to the C-Note Show, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. It's Friday, May 29th, 2020. Fantastic to see you. We are here because you watching this, you here within our Zoom call right now, want to be a part of a tribe of men that understand what you're going through. I experienced this in 2015, and my beautiful co-host, Miss Cynthia Cruz, gives us the feminine perspective on questions and how we move forward as men in the world, how we can be the tip of the spear in our own lives. And you want to learn tools, you want to laugh. This is real, raw, and funny, and I've got a fun motivational video to start us off. It's not as funny today. It's more motivational today. It's about being a king in your own world. But before I share that, I'd love to please introduce Miss Cynthia Cruz. Say hi, Cynthia.
Thank you. To get to sit here with you, this group of men, and talk to you about masculine and feminine energy, there's nothing in the entire world I'd rather be doing. So thank you so much for having me.
I love that. Thank you, Cynthia, so much. This week, our theme is how to solve the fear of divorce. And it starts with our 3 forms of confidence, the behavioral, emotional, and spiritual. And I want to start off with our question of today is, I just got this from a gentleman before the show, And our other question was the one we've used for the past 2 days. It had so many pieces about feeling disconnected from his wife. She's moving further and further away. Okay. And and underneath this is his fear of divorce, right? He wants to rediscover the man that he is, the calm, masculine man that he was earlier in the marriage. And so many of us can relate to that. Our starting question of the day is, can I put all of this into practice now? And can I have hope? Can I be a phenomenal, confident man in my own life? There's me, there's her, and then there's the relationship, the three entities. Can I be a confident man and still have hope that the two of us can reconcile? Still have hope that I can reattract her? Still have hope that I can fucking get my balls back, right? Either take them back from outside of her pocket. She's got them in her purse, you know? We unknowingly gave her our balls and she's got them in her purse. And guess what? She doesn't want them. She doesn't want your balls, okay? She wants you to fucking wear the pants of your own life, not domination over her, not controlling her. She wants you to be on adventure in life. She wants you to fight your battle in life, and she wants to be the beauty that you behold. She wants to be the beauty along on your adventure, as John Eldridge would say in the book Wild at Heart. So on that note, I've got an awesome about 2-minute clip. It's a motivational clip about being a king in your life and in your world. Here we go.
Every man in himself is aristocratic, that he is his own king. He takes a sojourn into the material world, has to climb up all the different rungs on the ladder, and ultimately has to return to himself. The significance of the extraction from the sword from the stone is the stone is the material world. The material world, which seems all solid because it controls you whilst you're projecting your sense of identity upon it. The extraction of the stone is taking back your own authority, your own power. You're no longer looking for a sense of self outside of yourself. And then you have to face the demons that you've created in your history by facing them and fighting them and owning them. You put them in the face of who you are, and that's a wrestling match. You'd have to take away all these crutches, and that's all that we struggle from in life, is taking away our crutches. You got to take away all these crutches and stand as the man that you are, and you're liberated from your whole thing.
What is the vision? Because the only reason I'm here, the only reason we're here today is because of our yesterday. Everything I've been through has defined who I am right now. So what's the goal? What's the vision? So no matter what you say to me, no matter what you say I cannot do, no matter what you say I will not do, I must do. I have to do. I am king. I live as king. I walk as king.
Oh, so powerful. I am king. I live as king. I walk as king. And he spoke about crutches, and being king is letting go of our crutches and standing. But what this show is a fucking handout when you're laying in the mud. That was me in 2015. I was laying in the mud. I didn't know which way was up, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was being smothered in the mud of my own life and in my own thoughts of failure. Like, how could I allow this to happen? How could I be in a place where she's telling me she loves another man? She's telling me that she was physically with another man. She's telling me that she wants to divorce me. Okay. And I went through 6 months of therapy before she said the D word. And, it was like I was the bad guy the whole time. I sat by her on the couch, the therapy couch, and she said, I'm not sure about him. I'm not sure about him, over and over, basically for 6 months. Okay. Now, I'm not to place blame. I'm not to say that both of us didn't have our own responsibilities. And, I was naive to this work, guys. So outside of relationship, I was great. I was the quote happily divorced man, which is sort of a euphemism for, you've got the adventure, you've got the battle in the world. You don't put a woman on a pedestal. You know how to start your day in a kingly way. You know how to move toward your goals step by step. You know how to put the binoculars on and look long distance when you need to. And you know how to take the binoculars off and look down some days and some moments when you just need to take the very next one step. And then the very next one step after that. Okay, that's what we want. So this show is it's a hand. It's a hand when you're laying in the mud, and it's a hand around the man next to you, and it's a fucking high five. When we can touch each other again after COVID, it's a high five or a fist bump or a chicken wing. Like, started to do this with my sister. She does like the fucking elbow bump, chicken wing bump. I don't know. Maybe that's going to be the new thing. But this is the chicken wing bump in your day, the C-Note show. So Cynthia, I'd love for you to come on and help me start off with this question of, can I put this into practice now? Can I reach up and grab that hand that's being offered to me? Can I then 2 months, 3 months, 9 months down the road, drop the crutches and walk forward on my own and be ready to have a hand around the man next to me? So Cynthia and I are both professional coaches. We worked with men for about 4 years, going on full time. And so Cynthia, if a man called you and he said, can I really do this? Can I be the euphemism of the happily divorced man without being divorced? Can I be in this spot where she says she wants space and kind of be like I would be after divorce, have the confidence that I maybe would have later now, and have hope for reconciliation? What would you say to that man, Cynthia, please?
Yeah, that's a really powerful question. There is so much freedom when we, with such clarity, identify what we want in relationship in such a deep way that it's not even attached to the person that we're with in partnership. It's a understanding of ourselves, what we're worth. And I feel like that's a really tough thing to say, because I've been there where it's like, I want this, and this person in front of me is the opposite of that, and there's like a dagger to the heart. And I'll say this over and over to men, practices like that morning kingly plan, where you are continually getting more and more clear about what is it that I want, what is it that I'm worth. There's like the weight of the world can fall off your shoulders with that clarity, because you're no longer looking toward the person in front of you to affirm if that's true. Or what we really do is we take our past poor thoughts about ourselves, like, I'm really not worth this, or my past poor thought is, my feminine energy is not really that valuable. And then we look toward the person that we're with to prove that to us. So changing that dynamic is enormous in its freedom. It changes relationship dynamics. And to me, that's the epitome of hope, because I never want to stuff away those deepest desires.
Yeah, it can change the dynamics of the relationship without us having to stuff our own deepest desires. Cynthia, thank you so much. And I look at it like, if there's two magnets that both positive poles, or let's say both negative poles, are pointed toward each other, the magnets are going to push away, right? And all that and maybe we need space. We push away, and that's she wants space. Okay, she wants space from the relationship, and she wants space within her own self to potentially blossom, because maybe she's got a lot of shit going on that this overwhelm of pressure is not allowing her to deal with her own self. Okay, so it's definitely not all you. We like to say it's absolutely not all your fault. Okay, you may be contributing because the magnet's pointed the wrong way. So once we have space, if you turn your magnet the correct way, right, you have the potential for reattraction. Now we have the space still in between us. So that's a different phase of coaching. The first phase is to stop fucking up. Okay. Give space and turn your magnet in the right direction. Right. The next phase is to grow the roots, the depth of your own self that so you aren't blown over in the storm. Because I guarantee you, okay, when you come back toward each other, there's going to be a storm. There's that charge. And she's going to test. She's going to pull away. She's going to wonder if this is for real, right? And if you get pulled, and I haven't done this exactly like this before, but it's a great analogy. If you get pulled into her frame and it becomes negative again, just like it was, now you're back to fighting. And guess what? She's like, oh, I don't believe this changed. Look, you're the same man you were before. This is exactly the same. You know, nothing has changed, on and on and on. So you're still abusive in that way. You're still emotionally abusive. I heard that at the end of therapy, that I was emotionally abusive. Okay. I've been in mental health for over a decade. I've been a teacher. I work with emotional disabilities and families and all this. Sure, I didn't see the back of my own head. I didn't know my own nice guy tendencies. But for my spouse to label me with the therapist, she convinced basically the therapist that I was emotionally abusive. Okay. Now, if as nice guys, you know, as Dr. Robert Glover would say, as nice guys, if I am trying, and it's not working, and I get so frustrated that I like start yelling in anger, yeah, that's not okay. It's not okay. And I did those things, and I'm embarrassed by that, right? But that doesn't mean that I need to have a label. That doesn't mean you need to be labeled and to damn your whole self as a person, guys. Okay, so I did not accept that label. I did not accept the pirate costume that she was trying to put on me. Or it's like the emperor's clothes, right? It's like, you're wearing the pirate costume, and I look down and it doesn't look like a pirate costume. It's like, no, you've got a parrot on your shoulder. You've got the pirate hat on. You got the fluffy shirt. You're wearing a pirate costume. It's like, I don't see a parrot. Like, what is happening? That's what it felt like to me. So Cynthia, thank you for mentioning the Morning Kingly Plan. This is something that we share with guys. Again, I'm happy for you to take a screenshot of this, or you'll see this within our private Facebook group, our Great Men Move Mountains private Facebook group. And you can join that by requesting to be invited. You have to be invited in, either by a man that's in there now. Guys, you can request to invite your friends, and I see that under the administrator request to invite your friend in if you invite someone in. Or go to greatmenmovemountains.com/Facebook. And that's where you can put in your Facebook email login and your name, and I'll personally invite you in. Okay. I'll probably ask you a couple questions first, just to make sure that it's not some random person. I'm not trying to let anybody in, but that's how you request to be invited in. All right. greatmenmovemountains.com/Facebook. I want to honor the chat, Cynthia. Let's take a look at the chat for a second. So Andy says, shit, you just drop the crutches when you're stuck down with fear, or do you wait and drop the crutches once you believe and know you can walk without them? Man, that is a great question. We're going to be struck with fear throughout our lives and throughout our relationship. And so maybe you do need help at that moment. And that's the point. Like, if you're walking next to other men, you can reach your arm out and grab their shoulder, and they can help you forward in the world. And that's what this group is. So the men here that you're on live right now, one of the benefits is that you can privately chat the other men within Zoom, right? Not every man is going to want to talk, and that's okay. But some men that do, especially the ones that talk in chat, or if you're open to talking, post in chat, and you can privately message each other. And that's not recorded. We don't see that at all. It's not recorded in the transcript of chat or anything like that. So while you're here, reach out to other men if you want, okay? Or post in the chat that you're open to talking with other guys, right? Or if you want a professional coach like myself or like Miss Cynthia Cruz, and you want to move forward as fast as you can, some men in here are my clients and Cynthia's clients. And that's something that we do, of course, to move you forward. And you can get results as fast as possible doing that way. Or sometimes you just need another man to reach out and grab his shoulder if you're stumbling or if you're hit with fear. And I know men in here do that as well. We have men from New Zealand and Spain, all across the United States, of course, as well, and all over the world. We have men from the UK that come on. I've had men from Africa come on, a man from Kuwait, a man from the Middle East. I have a client in Taipei, Taiwan that I speak with. And it's 7 p.m. locally for me, Mountain Time, and it's 9 a.m. the next morning as he's driving to work in Taipei, Taiwan. Patrick from New Zealand, it's 11 a.m. Mountain, and it's 5 a.m. tomorrow going in the other season, right, Cynthia? It's going on winter. It's going on winter. So how does that hit you, Cynthia, the men that we have and the tribe that we have where they can support each other and reach out? How does that feel for you as a woman to see and know a man has that in his life? How does that feel to you?
Wow. So I actually didn't know how I was going to respond to that question as you were saying it. And this is actually kind of surprising. I just suddenly felt really safe. And like very, like the world was being held around me. And I don't know if that's kind of like as a woman's perspective, that when men are in that like redwood tree roots, holding each other up, that's what it feels like for a woman to be around men like that, who are that strong and that connected. I don't know if that was me feeling what it's like to be a man in that place, but it felt like a release of worry and anxiety of being in a togetherness, a tribeness, as opposed to our current world where we can all feel quite alone and quite isolated at times.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a clip. It's less than a minute. I think it's about 35 seconds. It's inspirational. It's a little funny, the back end of it, because Kevin James I don't know if you've ever seen Kevin James as sound guy. He's the sound guy, and he clips himself in pretending he's the sound guy within movies. And so I'm going to show a quick clip from the more recent Rocky, and it's an inspirational video. It's 35 seconds, about 40 seconds. And then I want to share a bit of a success story from the forum. I've got Sean has been on this show multiple times before. He's not on here today. And John has been on here as well. He happens to not be on today. There's a bunch of guys that have a man crush on John, which is cool. So I'm going to share this clip and then a success story from our forum here in a moment. Here we go.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always going to love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. Don't forget to visit your mother.
I love Kevin James. So funny. Very cool. All right, let me share and I'll speak out this story, and then we're going to go on to our tool today. As I promised, the rest of this week, we're talking about the empowerment dynamic, which is the triangle that sits above the drama triangle. Okay, and we're going to move on of how to be the creator, the coach, and the challenger today as well. And so let me share. And so here's from our Facebook thread. Sean posted that he had sex with his wife after they started to reconcile, sex with his wife for the first time. And when that happened, she got really emotional and started to cry. And he stopped the intercourse or whatever was happening at the moment sexually. And Sean didn't quite know what to do. He didn't quite know how to react. She was apologizing for being emotional. And she said that she was working through some hurts and she was working through some confusion, and she didn't know why she was emotional in that moment. Cynthia on the forum talked about that that's a completely normal thing. Men that have been in that space with women when they come back together have talked about that's a completely normal thing. And I'd love for Cynthia to jump in after I read this. So John says, "Hey brother, I too also had sex a little earlier than my wife wanted in the reconciliation process. And it's not that either one of these men forced it at all. The woman wanted it. They were basically surprised by their emotional storm when the physicality started to happen again." Because Cynthia, tell us why. I'll have you jump in. So a woman, as you know, I teach men, she's stalwarting herself and putting shields up that she has to be her own individual self in the world. that she needs to protect herself from the pains that she's had in the relationship. So she has a lot of shields up during the I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or I want space time. Okay. So Cynthia, if you would jump in, please, and share what's going on for a woman when a potential reconciliation starts to happen if physicality comes in.
Well, there's a couple things that can occur, but I think the most important one to know is she's been in this like, okay, I can handle this mode. And a lot of the I can handle this mode is, fear, like survival fear. Yep, I can handle this, kind of like push it down. And I'm still really frustrated about this and feeling some resentment and push it down. And then the pain, the heartache that she has masked for so long with criticism or, pushing away, it has been pushed down. And so if you are with her in a time of reconciliation, and I would say especially with sex, where that polarity of you're masculine, all of a sudden there is this container holding her, and all of a sudden she's not in, I'm cave woman with my spear strapped to my back. I can do this without the tribe. I'm fine. She gets to put down the spear, and there's like some trepidation maybe. And then like she puts down the spear, you have a container. Suddenly she's feminine again. Suddenly everything that's been pushed down is water again, as opposed to frozen tundra. And it's like a whoosh out. And she probably is going to be really overwhelmed because it's so many different things. So she won't really be able to say what that's about. But it will feel like a tremendous relief.
Oh my gosh. So and you've talked about before how sometimes women, if we as men have just half of a bathtub, if they feel like we have half of a bathtub and she wants to pour her bucket of emotions of water into the bathtub, she's not sure how that's going to go. How does that relate to her potential for that relief that you just explained?
Sure. So, yeah. So if I'm carrying a bucket of water of my experience, and I look at the tub and I can only see half of it there, I'm going to be really hesitant to pour the water in because, it took a lot of work to go get it from the well over there, and I'm going to hold on to it still. Whereas if she's in, reconciliation with you, and there's been a talk about future vision, and you don't have all the answers, you don't have the perfect clarity, but you are sharing in a more vulnerable way. You have skills where you know how to dive in to the emotion and then kind of guide you both out of it. All of a sudden that tub, it's not perfect, but it's going to have all the sides there. And this bucket of water gets freaking heavy. So as soon as that full tub is there, it's like, oh, thank heavens, I can pour the water in here, and it's a safe place to do that.
Thank you. And so Jason in the chat says, so in that moment, how do we react or respond as a man? How do we respond as a man and support her without being needy or controlling? What would you say? What would be the first step toward that, Cynthia? She's having this emotional storm. She looks at she perceives our tub as only half of a tub. And so how do we respond and support her in that moment without being needy or controlling?
So you're saying that that's an instance where she's not trusting the container? Is that the question?
And I can share the rest of the story. So John says, I too had sex a little earlier than my wife wanted in the reconciliation process. You did a good job in not trying to fix her. My wife, she's got some big emotions and thoughts about how sex too early will do all these counterproductive things. That's okay. That's her story, and I can empathize with it. If I see that right, I got about 40 years of sex with this woman. So in other words, his future, he has 40 years of future with this woman. So he's saying, take the binoculars off your face because you've got a long time potential with this woman if things go well, right? Today, tomorrow, a week won't kill me without sex is what he's saying. To be fair, after a week, I'll be dry humping everything, though. She may have wanted sex, but in that moment got flooded with emotion, and she flew up the staircase of emotions. So yeah, here's where John is saying that she may have wanted sex in that moment, but got flooded, and then she flew up. Her watermark of anxiety flew up, is what we call it on the show. So just be slow, be intentional, and most of all, enjoy all the feminine beauty. If in the storm or her crying, that is some of the most beautiful times you will ever see behind that shield. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Yeah, don't try to stop her being a woman, right? Don't say like, oh, don't cry. Allow her to have the flood. Allow her to have her emotions. You know, the feminine energy within her and within all of us, and especially in women, it's going to flood sometimes, right? If the black arrows are the man and his masculine boundaries and his femininity, his flow and his energy and his excitement and emotional range, if she's flooding outside of that, you're not trying to stop her from flooding in the future. It's our job to learn how to handle that. So let me finish the story. So John says, I wouldn't say what you did was a bad interaction at all, because Sean said that he didn't try to fix, he just tried to be there for her. So that's phenomenal, right? You're blazing the trail, my friend, by doing that, by not trying to fix and just be there for her. So here's Sean says, John, my wife and I talked about it that night. She expressed that she felt that Sean, wanted sex. So Sean, there was another question in there I asked as well on the forum of, did Sean want sex that night, or did he just kind of fall into it and he wasn't really leading? So he's saying that his wife, Sean's wife, felt he wanted sex, Sean did, but she wanted me to straight up tell her I wanted it. So it sounds like she was feeling that Sean wasn't owning his desire. So this is written about quite a lot in Hold On to Your Nuts by Wayne Levine, or No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover, or The Masculine in Relationship by G.S. Youngblood, books that we talk about that are in like the top 5 that you guys need to be reading if you're not right now, of owning your wants, owning your masculinity and your desire. And that doesn't mean that you push that on her, but you want to own your roots as a man and your desires as a man, okay? You're not ashamed of them. You don't, and you don't try to smother her with them. It's not her job to like take care of all your physical needs in that exact moment, right? And that's a great discussion for another time of, well, what does that look like, Jeff? We'll talk about that another time. She said, by me not expressing what I truly wanted, what I wanted, it put pressure on her. Put pressure on her for her to make it happen. And in between the lines here, put pressure on her to lead. Okay, she didn't want the pressure to lead in that moment. Okay. Since then, we have had sex 2 more times with me leading, wanting that connection with her, and they have been great experiences shared with her. So he owned his own desire. He led in a connecting way. He danced up the staircase of intimacy, as we say on the show, and that's the title of our free audiobook. And I'll talk about that at the end of our show. So Cynthia, please, let's honor our chat. And if you would jump back in, if you'd please share the chat and then your response, I'd love for you to jump in. Thank you, Cynthia.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. You said the wondering was in the moment after sex and she's emotionally overwhelmed. You don't want to ignore her, but you don't want to overwhelm. You want to create a space for energy and confidence and strength. And I love the intent of that. And I will actually share that this happened to me. I had gone through a period in my life where I purposefully took 2 years off from having relationships, having sex, because I knew there were things that I really wanted to get clear on of myself. I wanted to own my own desire and who I was looking to attract into my life. And got together with a wonderful gentleman who's actually the person who introduced me to David Data, that just changed my whole understanding of men and women. And the first time we went to have sex, it was wonderful, and we went up into northern New Hampshire and stayed somewhere great, and it was romantic, and we started to have sex, and wouldn't you know, I was the last thing of the intimacy that he was wanting, because I burst into tears. The thing that was so incredible about that, because I did not understand, I couldn't be logical about that, is he just was present with me. And I was in a place where, a hand on my shoulder was perfect. But you just being present with a woman in her emotional state like that, that's huge. That's the epitome of strength. That's the epitome of heart and the intent, Jason, that you were talking about. And then, a couple days later, that would be a great conversation. Like, hey, I noticed that this, emotion came up for you. Is there anything you'd like me to know about that?
That's a magical phrase that we share in this show quite often, is what else would you like me to know about that? Or what more would you like me to know about that? That's so phenomenal. And Cynthia, that actually segues beautifully into learning about the empowerment dynamic, the opposite of the drama triangle. So let me get into that right now. So here's Cartman's drama triangle. We've posted this within the forum as well, our Great Men Move Mountains private Facebook group. And so what's the opposite of that? It's called the empowerment dynamic that sits on top of the drama triangle. We have creator that's opposite of victim. It's also called survivor instead of creator. The coach is opposite of the rescuer, and the challenger is opposite of the persecutor. And so I've got a great little, it's about 2 or 3 minutes video on this exactly. And it starts up with talking about the creator or the survivor, the opposite of being the victim. I'm going to show that right now.
So let's take it by looking at each role again. So in the one down victim role, we need to become a survivor. In order to do this, we need to think like a problem solver and ask ourselves questions like, what do I want? And what steps can I take to get what I want? Another useful thing to do is to reflect on the good things that are going our way. So we can make a note of it in a calendar or a diary. Ask ourselves questions like, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for today? Or at the end of each week, we could ask ourselves, what did I achieve this week? So let's move on to the rescuer role again.
Let me just pause in this screen for a moment here. What did I achieve for the rest of this week? What am I grateful for today? What are 3 things I'm grateful for today? And I want to reflect on the good things that are going my way. That's one way to be a survivor and then move into a creator role instead of being a victim. All right, let's keep going.
Let's move on to the rescuer role again. If this is where you tend to find yourself sitting, you need to think of yourself as a teacher or a coach rather than as a rescuer. You need to remember the golden rule about teaching a man to fish. So you need to support and encourage the person in ways to identify and solve their problems rather than rushing in to solve it for them. You can ask them things like, what is it that you want to see happen in this situation? Or what do you think you can do to change this? Also, you need to make sure that you set boundaries. Setting boundaries around the time that you're able to listen to the person and letting them know that is really important.
So I'll pause right there. So they call it a teacher here. It's called a coach within the empowerment dynamic graphic that I showed. And so this is, instead of being a nice guy, instead of being the knight in shining armor that always tries to fix everything and rescue, we want to listen and support and encourage the person to identify solutions for themselves, meaning we're listening and supporting and allowing them to have their own agency, not trying to fix it for them, allows them. And by the way, if there's tension there. If we were fixing everything in the past, and we are not fixing now, there's tension within ourselves, like, oh, I could just fix it, or I could just look for her glasses for her, or I could take the car and get an oil change for her. I could do this for her, right? Instead of allowing her to have agency in her own life or to take care of those things that she really does want to do for herself. You don't have to do everything, right? And so asking ourselves, here's back to the video, what would you like to see happen is a question they say that you can ask her, right? Ask the other person or ask your child. What would you like to see happen? What do you think you could do to change this? Right? And then setting boundaries with their own time and state it. This was really interesting. This came up on the show another time. which was, and I never did actually say what Robert Glover's response to this would be. So it was brought up, Cynthia, I'd love for you to unmute yourself, where a woman might be just like bitching, you know, going on, complaining. And Jason brought this up. So how do I address that, right? And what I said is you don't want to stack. You don't want to stack. So number one, has she ever complained about this exact thing before? Okay, and let's assume no. So definitely we want to listen and empathize. And then Robert Glover talks about like giving her a hug. David Data talks about this too. So basically giving her a hug, helping her feel within her body, you know, wrapping your masculine arms around her and helping her feel the outside of her own self and her body, and bring her frontal lobe back online. Okay, so she can think more rationally. She can be in the moment, right? So Cynthia, give us some feedback on that. If a woman is kind of going on and on, though, about the same thing, she's brought this up before, okay, how can we, in a connected way, set boundaries around our energy and time that we spend with her, maybe even victim mentality? How can we do that in a calm, connected, grounded way as a man?
Yeah, I actually was just listening to an Alison Armstrong podcast where she again spoke about this, and she reminded me of like the agony of being on the other side of that as a gentleman who wants to fix. And so you're always, and I think Patrick referenced this in the beginning of the show of, you know, you're looking for what's the problem and are you okay and can I fix something? And when a woman, so there's the part of the woman that she's processing things by speaking it over and over again, and she's processing the emotion of it, not necessarily trying to fix the situation. And she might do that with other women, and they would have a lot more bandwidth for that. And a human being, when we are constantly talking about the same thing, we're trying to make ourselves feel better. And that's where some like self-reliance comes in, because we can't be constantly trying to reduce our shame, guilt, fear, anger by, you know, pushing our energy on someone else. So you as the man can honestly say, hey, honey, like, the protector of me, the man in me, the one who wants to fix this for you so much wants to make this better. And it seems like there is something else you're needing in this place. And so that could go into, you know, is there something else you want to tell me about that? Or to also feel like you can say, I really want to fix this and I can't. And I want to let you know, as a man, I'm speaking to you now, it's okay that you can't fix that for her. And invite her, like, what other ways could there be help and support for this for you? Because I want you to feel better.
So Cynthia, let me bounce off you something Dr. Robert Glover says. It's in his new book, Dating Essentials for Men, which could actually be titled Relationship Essentials for Men. I love that and No More Mr. Nice Guy by him. So he says, he gives a story of how he started to date a woman, now not his spouse. He started to date a new woman that had the bad habit of every time they got on a date together, that she would complain about her job, about her life when they first started dating. And it got longer and longer, 20 minutes, 30 minutes when they're on a date. And so Robert Glover says, hey, we're here. And he listened to her first for the first, 2 dates, for the first 3 dates. And it went great after that. He's really connecting with her. It's going great. He wants to continue to date her, but just a bad habit at the beginning. And he says, and one day, the next date, okay, not while she was in the middle of complaining, but the next date, he said, hey, and I'll use some of our tools here, Cynthia. He said, I've been thinking about something that's really important to me, and I've been thinking about being with you, and I love being with you. I've noticed that you have a habit of coming and really talking badly about your job and the rest of your life. And, we're here to have fun. So I'm totally happy to listen to you for 5 minutes, and then we're going to have fun. Then I'm going to take you on the rest of our date, and we're going to do this together, and we're going to have this passionate, connection together. So you have 5 minutes to complain about whatever you want to complain about. Ready, go. And he started his timer on his phone, right? And so in the story, and I love your feedback, in the story, she, like, well, this about work, and you know what? I'm really not here to complain anyway. You're right. We're here to have fun. And then she followed his leadership. He took the lead and set the tone, as he would say, and she followed his leadership. So give me some feedback on that story and how that may or may not connect with a man that's, in relationship with a woman. I have my thoughts when I coach men. I maybe say something different than Robert Glover there because he's first starting to date that woman in that story. But what's your feedback there if I were to say, hey, something that's really important to me. I've noticed that you have this habit of when you get home from work that you kind of just like, oh, it's like there's a lot of stress going on. It seems like you just started kind of dump it out. And I'm happy to listen to you for 5 minutes. And after that, though, I want to move into the rest of our evening. We're going to have a great evening with the kids together and then lead, right? Great evening with the kids together. We're going to do this together. We're going to take a walk tonight at 8 o'clock. So I'm happy to listen to you for 5 minutes. Ready, go. What's your feedback on Robert Glover's advice there, please?
Well, I love that's such the gift of masculinity, right? Your ability to be like, yes, here's emotional turmoil and here's vision, here's movement forward. Like, yes, dive into the ocean and at some point, let's get out to the other side and keep going forward. I feel like there could be two situations here. One where a woman's just in the habit and she's just kind of like blowing off steam off the top of her head. And it's like, yeah, 5 minutes, let's go. And there can be humor and fun. And then let's, do something wonderful together. There also is like, if a woman's talking about work and there's some real angst there because she's stressed, she's not feeling like she's living her purpose, that it's causing her pain. I think that would not come across, that would give me big heartache to be told that. However, if the man in front of me was to say, again, honey, just, I want so much to fix this for you, and it causes me pain that I can't. Let's talk about this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I need us to move forward and do something different because I'm sorry, but I can't make this better for you in this particular moment. And that's really hard for me.
Well, so let me give you I love what you're saying, Cynthia, and I'm going to be like, if I tell a woman, number one, I can't fix this for you. First of all, she's going to say, I'm not trying to fix it, asshole. I just want you to listen, right? Okay, and then the other one, like assuming that she was wanting it to fix it, I think what you're saying is for him to express within himself, I would love to be able to help you with this. And that's my, the white knight within me wants that. But what I know is that you probably just want me to listen. That's what I think that's what I know. Is that true? Is that true that you just like me to listen, or would you like my feedback?
That feels wonderful. And also saying, what is the thing you really want me to know and understand from what you're telling me?
Yeah, fantastic. So again, I'm gonna circle and then we're gonna move forward here. So I'll circle to, we do not want to try to set a boundary, in my opinion, in the middle of her sharing her really painful thing. I had a man last night, his name happens to be Jason, one of my clients. He said, he's not no Jason here, but he said, this Jason is trying to escalate intimacy and he's not quite sure when to do it. And she came home and shared that exact kind of thing. There was a painful moment in her day, and she had just come home and she was 5 minutes into it, and you could see that her nipples were excited. and so he tried to make a joke about her nipples and then reached out and touched one of her nipples in the middle of her being really upset. And I laughed so hard when he told me this, in the middle of her being upset. And he said, yeah, that conversation was over and she walked away pretty pissed. Like, yeah, no shit, Jason. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't try to jump to stair 10 on the physical intimacy, stair 8 on physical intimacy when she's sharing real pain. Okay, so he made the giant violation. Do I have it here right now? He made the violation of trying to jump physically up the staircase way farther than she was feeling connected to him. Okay, we teach that in our audiobook as well. So greatmenmovemountains.com/free audiobook. And you can go there to get the 45-minute audiobook and the free accompaniment. It's a 13-page PDF that talks about the staircase of intimacy. And this is drawn out there as well, okay, guys, and talked about in the free audiobook, that we cannot try to escalate physically beyond the level of emotional connection that she's feeling in that moment. Okay, so he violated that rule. So she's feeling like a 1 or a 2 or 0 because she's upset about work. And he tried to jump to like an 8 and grab her boob. Yeah, didn't go too well. So don't do that. Learn from Jason. Don't do that. So back to my point. My point is, if she's coming home every day and like dumping her shit for a really long time, and it's the same thing over and over, and you've tried the like, hey, I'm here to listen and I understand, and would you like my advice, or do you just want me to listen? And she's like, no, I just want you to listen. Then what I would do is the next time she, let's say, comes home, that's the one thing that you're going to bring up with her right away then. You're not going to stack it in the middle of her sharing this hurt, this really big pain for her. Okay, so you're not trying to interrupt her tidal wave. It's like, the tsunami's coming and you're like, hey, wait a minute, can we not tsunami me right now? It's like, no, you're going to get the pissed off tsunami then. Okay, so what you want to do though is when she comes home, before the tsunami like starts is when I would bring this up. Hey, this is really important to me. I've been thinking about the past few days, 6 months. I've been thinking about the past few days that you've been bringing up this, your pain about work. And it seems like you're having the same pain. And so is there some other direction we could take that? Or is there something else that you'd like me to know about that? Right. And try that. Okay. If she's like, no, I just want to talk about it. Like tsunami again. Like, okay, maybe that Saturday is when you bring up. See, so there's something that's really important to me, and I want to be really direct about it. Okay. I love listening to you, and it feels like a tsunami when you come home. And I want to be here for you. And the savior part of me, right, Cynthia, the savior part of me wants to fix it for you. And it seems like this is beyond my ability to like fix in the moment for you, right? Okay. It seems like it's beyond my ability to help you right then when you come home, and it feels like this giant tsunami. Okay, then I would shut up. Okay, I'm not trying to tell her what to do. I'm presenting how it's affecting me. I'm presenting how it comes across to me. So it feels like this giant tsunami, and the savior part of me wants to save you, but it feels like this is beyond my ability to help. And it feels like this giant emotional tsunami every single day after work. Cynthia, give me some feedback. If I were to say it like that, how does that hit you? And just be honest. Just be honest with us. How does that hit you when I say it like that?
The most powerful part is when you model this, and I feel the energy in your quietness. That is the most honoring, safe, incredible space I have experienced. It's kind of like when I referenced just a little bit while ago, if she's, flooded in a storm and it's, around you both having sex and you're just present with her. That's exactly what you just did. And it felt incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. Fantastic. I appreciate the feedback. We have about 10 more minutes on our show today. Let me move forward and we'll start to wrap up. Let me show the rest of the empowerment dynamic. Here we go.
In some ways, it's a similar situation with the starting gate persecutor, who, like the rescuer, puts themselves in this sort of one-up powerful position. The difference is, with this role, is that you need to become a challenger. You need to be firm but fair in your approach to people. And to help the person recognize how you're feeling, you need to sort of address the consequences of their actions and set boundaries. So for instance, you could say something like, if you keep your side of the agreement, I can keep mine. As with a rescuer, it's important to remember to set these boundaries and recognize that this isn't your problem to solve.
Good. So let me go back to that. They move pretty quick with some great stuff. So this is not your problem to solve. That's exactly what we're just talking about, right? Exactly. And we just completely modeled how to set boundaries as well. right? Instead of being the persecutor, like the persecutor would say, you always come, you need to fix yourself. Like, I don't want to hear your stuff anymore. You just trying to dump your things on me. Blame, 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 point, point, point. That's what the persecutor would do. Like, you need to fix this. You need to stop bringing this to me. It's just, persecutor like that. Whenever I feel like I'm pointing energetically, that's the persecutor, right? And instead of that, we want to be the challenger. And this takes practice. This takes consistency. If she's not used to this, or if you're not used to this, it takes practice, guys. All right. And this whole, if you keep your side of the agreement, obviously that's quite business-like. I use that with my 16-year-old son in parenting, right? So with another man, that's going to make a lot of sense. If you keep your side of the agreement, then I can keep mine. The keys here are being supportive and encouraging, and setting boundaries in a separate time, okay, to not stack, and to realize this is not your problem to solve. So you're not trying to be overly controlling, right? You're not trying to fix it for her, because she doesn't want you to fix it for her 99% of the time. She wants you to listen, right? And that's why the question of, I'm here for you, that sounds really tough, what you just said there. Would you like my thoughts on that, or would you just like me to listen? I'm totally happy just to listen. Is that what you would like? Okay, you can always ask. You can always ask, like, I'm here for you. Is this just something that you want me to listen to? I'm not sure if you want me to try to give you advice or fix it. I'm here just to listen if you like. Is that what you'd like? Can certainly say those things. So Cynthia, any other thoughts on that in particular, specifically, for instance, the chat? Jason says, a point I can't make enough after coaching women and being in a relationship in a different way. Okay. So Jason, I'd love for you to unmute yourself and give us some feedback on what you've heard today. Right. And I think I missed some of the conversation in the chat. So Jason, if you'd unmute yourself, Jason is a coach as well, and I'd love for his contribution. So yeah, please jump in.
Okay. Well, what I was just going to type, but I guess it's better here. The point that I can't make enough after coaching women, and sitting for hours and hours in the storm. Coaching women is, in my experience, nothing like coaching men. It's a lot more of just providing a boundary and letting them be fucking brilliant. Women, especially women who are open to their feminine, tap into a wisdom that is just phenomenal. And I think a lot of times in a relationship, when that need to find the point or find the problem, and try to find something to fix in a hurry, if we can just relax into that and know that really, if you give her the space, my goodness, she will come up with, one, what is her answer, and two, it will encompass a whole section of life that you didn't know existed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so much behind the curtain that we don't know. And that's why I love this show, Jason. It's like looking behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just putting, like you said, putting your hand over your mouth, metaphorically, and giving her a chance to process through with you. One is a tremendous gift to her, because you're given a container, to be her, but two, you're opening up a space that's wider than her. It's go a little into spirituality there, but her feminine self will find the answer. It may take nauseatingly long by our standards.
Don't say it. Yeah, okay, just joking.
But it will come, and it will be true, and she will own it, and she will be very, very grateful for that space.
Oh, I love it, Jason. Cynthia, give him some feedback, please, on what he just said.
Well, I love the nauseatingly long. As Jason was speaking, I was, it was amazing. I was just feeling all this tension just leave my body. This, what he was demonstrating and modeling was like, oh my gosh, there is space there to take time to process, to not have all the answers. And, as much as, women just want to be listened to, they also have a savior fixer in their own mind. Like, I should fix this. Like, they look out into the world and they see that A plus B equals C, and they need to manage their life that way. And when they can't, when it doesn't seem to be that compartmentalized, they put themselves in their own drama triangle. So what Jason just modeled was a relief from that, and a self-acceptance, and to have someone believe in your capability to look at someone through the eyes of you see their capability. I think that can almost do more than the perfect plan.
Oh my gosh. See themselves through the eyes of you believing their capability. See them through the eyes of capability. Yes. I love that. That quote's going to go Cynthia Cruz on the Facebook forum. See them through the eyes of capability. Phenomenal. I love it. So on that note, we're going to wrap up our show today. I want to honor our men, our regulars that are here again, of course. So Ian and Anthony, of course, and Andrew's on here as well. Jason, John, Kent, Patrick, Rob, love you guys. And the other gentleman that had to run, I absolutely adore you, and we love having this tribe here for you. And we do this in service because I remember what it was like. Cynthia knows what it was like. And we love helping men all around the world with the same set of emotions, guys. We're all here together. We believe the same set of things. We believe in relationship. And we want to be modern men that know how to be that calm, grounded, masculine, mojo-filled man that we want to be. And for our own selves, for her, and for our kids, and for our community in the world. So thank you for being here. So let's honor our men, please, Cynthia.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much to all of you for being here, and what you put in the chat and the questions you ask. It is an honor to be with a group of men like you, and it's an honor to be with a group of people who are invested and value growth and being their best selves. So thank you so much for inviting me into this tribe.
Thank you, Cynthia. I love it. So this has been the C Note Show, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. If you don't yet have our free audiobook, go to greatmenmovemountains.com/free audiobook. And there's a 13-page accompaniment with tools and a follow-along for the book as well. It's phenomenal. If you want to join our private Facebook group, you have to be invited in personally by either myself or Cynthia. And you go to greatmenmovemountains.com/Facebook and put in your Facebook email login and your name. And we'll ask you a couple of questions and invite you into our private closed Facebook group. Free private closed group where we talk about these things, where we help men get more hugs, kisses, affection, and sex. Their daily playbook is the C Note Show. And the forum online is where you can ask questions anytime and get support. Be shoulder to shoulder with that man next to you who's going through this journey, has been going through this journey. And either he's walking right now, climbing the mountain, or he's stumbled in fear or confusion, and maybe his face is in the mud, and we're here for each other. That's what you're here for. You believe in tribe, and you believe in doing this. Not alone. You're not alone in this, guys. I love it. So Cynthia, thank you so much. If you want to be on our show, you can find information at our website. The C Note Show is greatmenmovemountains.com/C Note. And there's actually like a one-click button you can get on our show, and it talks about information there and when this is broadcast live, and you can be on our show to be here to talk with the other men or to ask questions live or just to watch and listen. So thank you guys for being here. Have a great rest of your Saturday, Patrick, and rest of your night, Ian and Andy. Yeah, Ian, good to see you, brother. Yeah, I love your smile, man. Yeah, and thanks, Jason. And let's see who else is on. John, good to see you, bud. We'll talk soon. Rob, thanks for being on here and speaking up. I really appreciate it. Fantastic. See you guys later. Have a good one.
Whose body burn hot. I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she